I.3, How we learn. We now accept the fact that learning is a lifelong process of keeping abreast of change, and the most pressing task is to teach people how to learn. Peter Drucker. The beautiful thing about learning is nobody can take it away from you. B.B. King. You may be just starting out in your tertiary education. Now is a great time to pause and reflect on how we learn and how we might experience learning accounting for real in this unit. We will look at the reason for the seasons. Why is it hot in summer and cold in winter? And we will see how science graduates from Harvard answer this question. We'll then look at 6 conceptions of learning, 6 ways we can think learning is. We will see there are many ways to think about what learning is, and I will challenge you to see that learning can be much more than simple rote learning of clear-cut facts. In this section, we look at how to study to develop our own understanding about what accounting is, rather than simply rote learn material we do not properly understand. Reflect on how we learn. The noblest pleasure is the joy of understanding. Leonardo da Vinci. Many of us can see our learning as simply regurgitating clear-cut black and white facts from experts. In the university setting, these experts can be our teachers and the writers of textbooks. Our learning can be simply about these experts giving us information, clear-cut and neatly packaged up. With little or no understanding of our own, we can regurgitate it back in exams or assignments, and everything is sweet. Our learning is completed. And we then move on to the next learning task. But is this real learning? We start to realize we find it difficult to remember things we have not taken the time to understand for ourselves. We find within days, minutes, or even seconds after completing an exam and demonstrating so much knowledge of the subject area that we can no longer even remember it. We can seem to vacuum clean our brains at the end of each unit we study. We do not seem to have taken hold for ourselves of what we have apparently learnt. It is quickly lost because we did not really have it in the first place. And this experience of superficial imitation or pretend learning can quickly become a grind and not be fun. What happened to the discovery, to the excitement, to the exploration and challenge in learning? What happened to changing the way we view aspects of the world in the light of the amazing thinking, knowledge and ideas of those who've gone before us? What happened to the feeling and wonder of seeing new worlds open before us? And as we do this, to change as a person, to change in some important and valuable ways the person that we are. And for our learning to become a part of us, something we could never forget even if we wanted to, because what we have learnt has become part of our thinking, part of who we are. Learning is about change, but the passive regurgitating learning we can all too easily experience at university and school seems to be taking us nowhere, to not belong to us, to have no part in our lives, to not be real. What will be our experience of learning at university? A surface regurgitating learning, or a deep learning that changes our lives forever? Reasons for the seasons. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. Benjamin Franklin. On their graduation day, Harvard science graduates were asked, what is the reason for the seasons? They had studied this in introductory astronomy in their degree. The reason we have seasons is because the Earth is tilted at an angle to the Sun. It has nothing to do with the Earth getting further away or closer to the Sun as the Earth orbits the Sun, although this is a common misconception we can have. So how did Harvard science graduates go in answering this elementary question about the solar system? See the video and stop it at 2:50 minutes. Reason for the seasons, stop video at 2:50 minutes. There's a link to this video in the study guide. So what has gone wrong? Well, it is not just Harvard science students who are not learning that well at university. There is a widespread failure of most tertiary students to learn for understanding and to develop our own personal meaning of what we are studying. This is not in some way our fault as students. It is simply our response to the learning environment we are experiencing at university. This surface regurgitating type of learning that dominates the learning experience of so many people at university, whether we are studying philosophy, sociology, physics, architecture, law, economics, or accounting, does not need to be this way. Come on a journey with us in this unit and experience a change to learning for understanding. Our experience of learning not changed around the edges, but transformed at its heart into a qualitatively distinct and different type of learning. Our conceptions of learning. Change is the end result of all true learning. Leo Buscaglia. We will look at 6 ways we can think about what learning is. As we do this, you can reflect on what you think learning is and about other possible ways of thinking about learning. In the pre-unit survey, one of the questions we ask is, what do you think learning is? We find most people think learning is simply a quantitative increase in knowledge, one of the most limited ways of conceiving what learning is, and that leads us to learn superficially and to simply rote learn. Here are 6 different ways we can think learning is. 1. Learning is a quantitative increase in knowledge. 2. Learning is memorizing and reproducing. 3. Learning is the acquisition of facts and methods which can be retained and or used in practice. 4. Learning is the abstraction of meaning. 5. Learning is an interpretive process aimed at understanding reality, i.e. the real world around us. 6. Learning is changing as a person. These 6 categories of learning are in order of increasing complexity. They are cumulative, which means each way of conceiving learning includes those at the previous levels. For example, if we conceive learning as 3, learning is the acquisition of facts and methods which can be retained or used in practice, we would also include 1 and 2, a quantitative increase in knowledge and memorizing, as part of what we think learning is. And if we conceive learning as 6, learning is changing as a person, we would also include each of 1 to 5 in our view of what learning is. Let us now have a look at each of these 6 categories of learning. 1. Learning is a quantitative increase in knowledge. Learning is expanding or developing your knowledge, student, gaining new knowledge that you previously did not know, student. This view of learning is all about quantity, getting as many clear-cut facts as efficiently and quickly as possible. A principal feature of this way of thinking about learning is that there is little idea about what we would do with what we are learning. Also, the nature of learning is taken for granted and is something which is external to us, as if it is something done to us rather than something we do ourselves and take charge of. In this view of learning, we also see learning as consisting mainly of acquiring knowledge as separate pieces of information. There is very little recognition of a need to relate different elements of the knowledge acquired. 2. Learning is memorizing and reproducing. Learning is being able to take something in and after a period of time being able to recall that information. Student. With this view, we see learning as acquiring and memorizing knowledge with the intention of reproducing it, for example, for assessment purposes. It incorporates learning by repetition, and while it is still quantitative and impersonal in nature, it is distinguished from the previous way of viewing what learning is, in that the acquisition of knowledge has gained a purpose, reproduction, for example, in an assessment. 3. Learning is the acquisition of facts and methods which can be retained and or used in practice. Learning is the process of acquiring and using new information. Student. Not only remembering, but also being able to apply the knowledge into the realistic world. Student. The major feature of this view of learning is the emphasis placed on applying or potentially applying knowledge acquired, for example, to a future job. The application of knowledge involves retrieving and adapting what has been learnt and using it in a wide variety of circumstances. Unlike 2, learning is memorizing and reproducing, applying knowledge is not confined to simply reproducing it, for example, for assessment purposes. Rather, we are looking to do something with it in the real world. 4. Learning is the abstraction of meaning. Hearing new concepts, theories, ideas, and developing an understanding of them, as well as having your own complementary or contradictory opinions about them. Student. With this view, we take a more holistic view of learning. We think of learning as centering on the abstraction of meaning or understanding. We are focused on seeking to understand the concepts for ourselves and to make our own sense of what they mean. Also, we internalize learning. We see it as a part of us, and we view it as a personal experience. Rather than something being done to us, we see learning as something we do to and for ourselves. For this reason, we actively engage in the learning process and see the importance of integrating newly acquired knowledge with our prior learning and personal experiences. However, we see learning as being limited to the classroom and to the study situation, and do not connect it to our view of the wider world around us. 5. Learning as an interpretive process aimed at understanding reality, i.e. the real world around us. For me, learning is about taking in and absorbing new information, and combined with my past experiences, contributing to a lifelong body of knowledge which forms my personal view of the world. Student. This view of learning extends the previous one in that abstracting meaning helps us to then interpret the world around us and change our perspectives and how we view aspects of the world. In addition, this view of learning embraces an emotional aspect, and learning is located firmly in the real world. 6. Learning is changing as a person. Developing intellectually. Student. Improve yourself in a way that allows you to reach the full potential you are capable of. Student. This view of learning adds an existential aspect to learning, that is, relates to our human existence. By developing new insights into phenomena and seeing the world differently, we find we change as a person. Learning is not bound by time or content. It is a voyage of personal discovery. Why are we looking at what we think learning is? Why did I ask you this question in our pre-unit survey? Can't we just get on with learning? Don't we already know what learning is? Well, the answer is almost all of us do not. Our views of what learning is, particularly in formal learning environments like university, are so often very limited. Often limited to just a quantitative, impersonal increase in knowledge. And there is so much more to real learning than this. The reason we are looking at what learning is at the beginning of our unit and at the beginning of university study for many of us is because the way we view what learning is has a big impact on how we approach our learning at university and what we end up learning in our degree. The first three ways of viewing learning, seeing learning as reproductive, impersonal and as something external to ourselves, and involving being able to reproduce clear-cut black and white facts from experts, are strongly related to a passive surface approach to our learning. The last three ways of viewing learning, where learning is constructive, personal, and involves being more engaged with and reflective about our learning, and involves searching for understanding and personal meaning while we organise the content into a coherent and meaningful whole, are related to an active, deep approach to learning. And most importantly, there is strong evidence that if we conceive or think about learning as the first three ways, low-level conceptions of learning, we will not engage in a deep, personally meaningful approach to learning. In other words, it is a necessary but not sufficient condition that we conceive or think about learning as one of the last three ways of viewing learning, high-level conceptions of learning, for us to be able to experience a deep approach to our learning. In this unit, we are supporting you to change the way you view what learning is, and then to change the way you experience how you learn, to learn in a personally real, active, deep way, and in a way that can change your life. Watch out, studying accounting, really studying accounting, can change your life. And what is surface and deep learning? Surface learning is reproducing clear-cut facts from experts. Deep learning includes surface learning, but it goes much further. It is learning for understanding and developing personal meaning. But more about this later in our unit. Interacting with others and working with others is central to our learning for understanding as we share our insights, questions, and developing understanding. Let us now consider how we can communicate effectively online to support our ability to communicate and make valuable connections with others in our unit, wherever we may be, and in this way support our and others' learning. Point 4, communicating effectively online. Much depends on your success as a professional communicator. The professions seek graduates who present themselves well as speakers and writers. Knowledge is not enough. Number crunching is not enough. The bottom line is good communication skills. Lawrence Abel. I think it's fair to say that personal computers have become the most empowering tool we've ever created. They're tools of communication, they're tools of creativity, and they can be shaped by their user, Bill Gates. This section looks at communicating effectively online. Our communication skills are critical to our success in life and in business. And our communications are no longer simply face-to-face, but also include online communications. So much of our world is moving online. We can now connect so easily with people anywhere in the world. We will see that we will have the opportunity to develop further our capacities to communicate effectively online, using a range of tools, including our own blog, discussion forums on Facebook, MS Teams and Moodle, email and messaging. People will also no doubt communicate with each other online outside the physical and online boundaries of this unit, using a range of tools. We will also see that it is not just our personal and business communications that are increasingly going online. Accounting software has been going online. This is called cloud computing. and it is affecting businesses of all sizes. This is the world we live in, and the world in which business and accounting is conducted and exists. A world of face-to-face contact as well as growing online communication and interaction. First, we will look at the fast-changing world of online communication and the challenges we face in communicating effectively online. Changing world. Communication, the human connection, is the key to personal and career success. Paul J. Meyer. The world of online communication is changing very quickly. The internet is powerfully disrupting all industries, including accounting. Accounts are managed by firms using a range of accounting software packages, which have increasingly gone onto the cloud. We will have the opportunity to interact with others online, as well as potentially face-to-face with people studying in a similar location to us. Some people this term may have interactions with others in small study groups of perhaps 2 or 3 people, which we may set up for ourselves. These study groups can be purely online. They can also be face-to-face at one of our campuses or in coffee shops in town, and can also include people zooming in and participating as well. So it is a world of face-to-face contact as well as online communication, both working together. If we want to succeed in life, work and business, we'll need to get good at both. The advantage of face-to-face contact is that our communication can be much richer. When we are communicating face-to-face, there are lots of non-verbal cues, and we can connect with others at many levels. Online communication is much narrower and can easily lead to more superficial relating unless it is used skillfully. And of course, a big advantage of online communication is we can communicate with others who may be a long way away, indeed anywhere in the world. And we can also communicate asynchronously. This is a fancy word meaning we can interact and connect with others and with information when it suits us, given our other commitments and activities, rather than having to fit it in with the timing and schedules of others. As well as flexibility, online communication can also be a great leveler. More reserved people who may often not speak up can say as much as they like, while loud people are just another voice and cannot interrupt. Also, unlike verbal conversation, online discussion is typically recorded and can be revisited at any time. It can also encourage reflection, as people do not have to contribute until they have thought about the issue and feel ready. Other advantages of online communication can be that it provides a place for real-life examples and experience to be exchanged easily, such as being able to provide links to videos and other material. We also can ask a quick question or make a quick comment, or instead a long reflective account is equally possible. It is also possible in our unit that over time our online interactions can develop into a supportive, stimulating community with people from all around Australia and elsewhere, which some people may come to regard as the high point of their time in our unit. And the opportunities of discussion online are limitless. You can never predict where the discussion will go, and the unexpected can often result in increased and sometimes quite wonderful incidental learning. Online communication also comes with its disadvantages. Firstly, it is usually text-based and can largely rely on inputting text. This can be challenging to those who do not like to write or have poor keyboard skills or poor English written communication skills. And online, there are no physical cues. Without facial expressions and gestures or the ability to retract immediately, there is a big risk of misunderstanding. For this reason, understanding the emotional content of emails and posts is a critical skill to develop in online communication. Also, there is the risk of information overload, as a large volume of messages can be overwhelming and hard to follow, and can be rather stress-producing. Other skills with discussion forums are to be able to search forums effectively and to carefully follow threads. The logical sequence of discussion can often be broken by users not sticking to the topic of a thread and the flow of the discussion on a topic. Other disadvantages of online communication include the time lags that can be involved. For example, 24 hours can seem like a long time if you are waiting for a reply, and the discussion can have moved on and left you behind in between times you log on. Online communication can also be inefficient. It can take longer to type a response than verbal conversation, and so, for example, it can sometimes be hard to reply to all the points in a message, easily leaving questions unanswered. Also, some people can feel isolated with online communication, preferring to learn on their own and simply follow the discussions, and can choose not to participate in the discussions. Also, sometimes online discussions can become a bit directionless, particularly where people are used to having a teacher or instructor tell them what to do. There are real skills to online communication to maximise the advantages and minimise the disadvantages of this type of communication. In this unit, you will have the opportunity to further develop your online communication skills by doing, as you interact and collaborate with others in your assignments and learning tasks. Now, it is not just our personal and business communications that are increasingly going online. Accounting software has increasingly gone online in recent years. This is called cloud computing, and it is affecting businesses of all sizes. Accounting software. Accounts are managed by firms using a range of software packages. These include cloud-based software such as MYOB, Mind Your Own Business, Xero, or Reckon One for small and medium-sized businesses, as well as packages such as Oracle e-Business Suite, ERP, SAP, Oracle Hyperion, and SQL for larger businesses. As accounting is moving to the cloud, people in business are increasingly able to access their accounts wherever they are. Cloud computing is the practice of using a network of remote servers hosted on the internet to store, manage, and process data, rather than a local server or a personal computer. Many of us long ago got used to this idea using software such as Gmail and Facebook. Supporting these various apps and software are enormous data centers, which store and handle our data for us, provided by companies such as Amazon, Google, and Facebook. Quite a bit of accounting software is now provided this way as well. One advantage is that it allows businesses to access their accounts anywhere, anytime, including on mobile devices. Also, once links such as bank feeds are set up with other organisations, the accounts can be kept up to date on a real-time basis. For accounting firms, this is also raising issues about protecting data of clients that is on the cloud. And of course, it has been the rise of smartphones that has meant we can increasingly access our firm's accounts on the run, wherever we are. Smartphones. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. George Bernard Shaw. The rise of smartphones has had a major impact on online communication and the mobile use of the internet, starting with the introduction of the iPhone in January 2007. Of course, mobile phones were used for many years before they morphed into smartphones. We can now access the internet easily on devices we can carry in our pockets. Two main mobile operating systems for smartphones are Android and iOS. Android was developed by Google and is an open source platform. By contrast, iOS is a proprietary operating system developed by Apple primarily for use in its iPhones. The rise of mobile technology, combined with the movement of accounting software onto the cloud, means we can now access our firm's accounts anywhere, anytime. It also means we can do many things, include learning at university, supported by our mobile devices wherever we are. For example, you can access our unit's Moodle site on your mobile device, including reading or listening to the study guide, or watching videos while commuting on a bus or waiting in a line. It also means we can interact on our blogs and discussion forums on the run as well. Blogs and discussion forums. In our unit, interacting with others online, as well as face-to-face where possible, will be a big part of what we do while we complete our learning tasks on accounting. For example, we will be able to share our work with each other on our blogs. We will be able to discuss and communicate on our discussion forums in Moodle, MS Teams, and on our unit Facebook page. In our posts, we'll be able to include links to pages in our blogs where we can take people to view our draft work or other material. We will be able to use our blogs throughout the term to share our work with others and discuss each other's work as we learn with and from each other. And this can be done with people from, well, anywhere. If you have not done so already, why not pop onto our unit Facebook page and comment on some of the posts, or simply post and say hi and introduce yourself to everyone. Also, check out MS Teams and the Moodle discussion forums in the Learning Community tile in Moodle. There are some real skills in effectively communicating in discussion forums, which you will be able to practice and develop as we study introductory accounting together. These skills include being aware of some basic rules of online etiquette, often called Netiquette. In this section, we've seen that effective communication, collaboration, and interaction with others is essential in both our personal and business lives. We also saw that a key part of our communication is now taking place online, and that this is a trend showing no signs of slowing up anytime soon. So we need to develop our online communication skills. We saw some of the advantages, such as anytime, anywhere, and disadvantages, such as risks of misunderstanding of online communication, and our need to develop our skills to make the most of this type of communication. We also saw that as part of the digital disruption of so many industries in the world today, accounting software has increasingly moved on to the cloud. With the use of mobile devices such as smartphones, we're now able to access accounting information for our firms on a real-time basis, anytime and anywhere in the world. Conclusion. In this introduction, we have seen that there may be more to accounting than simply record keeping, and that many people in senior positions in business have accounting backgrounds. We saw that in this unit we will have the opportunity to ask ourselves, why is this so? We also looked at how to succeed in our unit and saw that a key to success is to start early and work steadily each week through the term. We looked at the learning tasks we will complete and saw how we will explore many of the foundational ideas and key concepts about accounting by studying our own listed company and its financial statements. We saw we need to interact effectively with others as we complete these learning tasks, both face-to-face and online. And we discussed some of the tools, support, and tips that can help us do this. We also spent some time reflecting on how we learn and what we conceive or think learning is. We saw 6 different ways we can think about learning, from a simple quantitative increase in knowledge with little idea of what we might do with this knowledge, right through to seeing learning as changing as a person, the most profound use we can make of what we learn. We also saw there are 6 categories of learning in order of increasing complexity, with each way of conceiving learning including those at the previous levels. And we saw that the more complex and complete ways of thinking about what learning is involve us actively developing our own understanding about what we are studying rather than simply reproducing clear-cut facts with little or no understanding of our own. This type of learning will take effort and time on our part as we actively engage with the concepts in our unit. With so much of our world going online, we looked at how we need to develop our online communication skills, and that as we study accounting together, we will have the opportunity to develop further our capacities to communicate effectively online. This will include setting up our own blog and using it as a tool to help us share our work and discuss and interact with each other. We'll also have the opportunity to further develop our skills using discussion forums on Facebook, MS Teams and Moodle, and other online communication tools. And see the video Jessica Smith, a past student in our unit, posted on her blog communicating her reflections on this introduction. In the next chapter, Chapter 1, we will start our possibly exciting journey of learning about what accounting is. We will look at how accounting is a way of viewing business, and we'll be able to start to reflect on whether we think it is a powerful way of viewing business or perhaps not.